What just happened?
I don't know, man.
Those are the moments right there that make you feel the most alive.
Look at that frickin' brute. That's a 4-year-old buck.
I just shot the biggest buck I ever had in Michigan.
Michigan, it's Michigan gone wild here in Michigan, where the back roads run for miles and miles with the will of a man and the heart of a child on Michigan gone wild. Michigan gone wild. Michigan gone wild.
I'm not paying anything.
All right, let's get on her.
All right, Charlie.
Fire us up, Charlie.
All right, you guys are sitting down with Michigan Gone Wild. My name is Charlie. You got Jake and Elvin in the house right now. We're going to talk a little bit, and we're going to get into some spring scouting. It sounds like Jake's kind of beating us to that punch already. So
I have an excuse, though. I'm injured.
yeah, but you're still climbing
It's
trees.
not an excuse.
I am, but I can only go vertical. I can't go horizontal.
There's no excuses.
He's like 80 feet in a tree, but
Oh,
I
wait,
can't
yeah.
scout. I can't scout.
I'm waiting for the snow to leave.
Don't you have a snowmobile?
No, I sold it.
Oh,
Yeah, I wasn't doing any ice fishing. So, like, whatever.
should have saved it for spring scouting.
I should have.
So what'd you find today, Jake? Anything new?
Yeah, Jake was out in the woods today.
No, I was walking around in Charlie's best hunting spot, and I never even cut a deer track.
Perfect. Just perfect.
Good.
That's honest to God. I did not see a deer track in the snow.
Good.
Really.
3 hours of walking.
Good.
Was the snow still deep out that way?
Yeah, but it's froze up good enough you can walk on top in most spots.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be 50 degrees tomorrow, so
And that's where I would. That's where I would fall through, and then like totally rip my Achilles again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be a good time.
I can see that text message. Hey, what are you doing? You wanna give
Can
me
you
a
bring
hand?
me a set of crutches? Maybe a walking boot.
No, it was fun though. I like getting out this time of year, checking stuff out. Still a lot of snow, but
April's my favorite.
yeah,
Most
like
of the
right now
snow's
you can't
gone.
see ground scrapes or anything, and
Yeah.
even the snow's so deep, a lot of buck rubs you just barely see the tops of them.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Well, it was mid-April is when me and Kevin found all those deer horns. It was about mid-April.
Yeah.
That's normal our time. I gotta wait until that snow's down before I can take him out there. But
Yeah, this year it might be a little later. I don't see it being gone in 2 weeks. There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in the open areas, like clear cuts and fields and stuff, but I don't, it's going to be deep.
Anything that doesn't get any sun's going to be.
Right. You're not going to be walking in the swamp in 2 weeks.
well, last Easter last year, I was
To be
walking.
honest, the swamps aren't bad because all the snow stayed up in the cedars.
Oh, that's true.
You get down like right in the cedars and it's just like a sheet of ice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
6-8 inches of just hard pack ice.
Hmm.
But it's like the overgrown clear cuts, like the 8-10 inch popple growth
Yeah.
where there's no overhead, no thermal cover at all.
Yeah.
That's when you really start to struggle. Or like the north side of a hill in a clear cut.
Yeah. Doesn't get any sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are the roads out that way? Pretty decent.
So I don't want to use road names or anything, but the main road out to our camp's not plowed. Hasn't been all winter.
Oh, nice.
The two main roads out there haven't been plowed all winter long.
So it's not even worth it to go out to some of my rifle spots.
It's been drove so much. It's like a hard packed ice trail with vehicles.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So you wouldn't have a problem getting to where you would want to go.
Right.
Right on. So what was the key? What was the features you were looking at? Were you just looking for deer horns at this time, or are you
Yeah, pretty much, Charlie. Just looking for deer.
Just
tracks.
checking.
Just checking for
checking.
deer.
just
checking
making sure you
for
didn't
deer.
just making
Checking
sure you didn't
behind
find
every
any of my
tree and
horns?
blowdown.
No, I was actually trying to find a tree really close to yours.
Yeah.
I could slip up there about November 15th.
Yeah,
so.
now you can call the other 9-point you had in there. Now you can call him the big 9.
I can. Well, that buck that I shot this year, I didn't know it was a 9 until like recent.
It was like within a week or two.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I didn't, because he never gave me that left side that much in any of my pictures because the cameras weren't working.
Oh,
So I didn't know he had that kicker at all this year. Last year he didn't have it. That big 9 that I have, he's either a 3.5, 4.5-year-old buck, and he was the same thing. You could see when he was an 8-point the previous year, you could see where he had a little nub.
Yeah.
Well, this year he grew it. So now, he's the big 9, and hopefully he grows the other side. He's a big 10.
Maybe the Big 10.
You know
Because
what I
you
mean?
can't have 2 big 9s 2 years in a row.
No. And technically, that 10 that I shot, the brow tines kind of broke off, so it'd be nice just to have a clean 10-point.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll go from a 9 to an 8, though.
Yeah.
They'll lose that little nub and put a little extra bone to their main frame.
A little more mass and length, yeah.
Because
It's not uncommon.
I got 2 bucks that are at the taxidermist right now, and they're both 9s. And then I got these 2 that are 9s.
Yeah.
And I got 1 little 8.
God, what's it like to have a taxidermist, Bill? I done forgot.
I don't forget. I just don't get none
forget.
of my stuff mounted.
Yeah.
Actually, I got a pretty good bill going. Lexi's bear
Yeah.
are expensive. Cats.
Yeah, bears
I don't
aren't
have no
cheap.
deer. I'm getting the one from this year mounted.
I need to get that wide 8 I shot in 2017
Yes.
mounted.
Yeah.
That one needed to be mounted.
Yeah.
I do have
I was going to mount that muzzleloader buck from 2 years ago, that wide 8-point, but
Yeah. Someone talked me out of it, but that person's no longer with us, so.
yeah.
Well, I do have another hide at Brazil's.
Mm-hmm.
Long hair.
No, don't worry. Next year I'll shoot another 6-point without brow tines. Just use
use
that.
that.
Key. No. You know what? Back to spring scout, and I'll tell you right now, like, the last couple years when it has been, like, prime for spring scouting, I've gotten super busy, and it's just totally gone. Just completely off my mind. And comes November, I'm kicking myself in the nuts for it. Because that's like one of my favorite things to do in the spring is to spring scout. I find some of the best patterns that I can come back to that fall and hunt.
Off topic. I'm not a big turkey hunter. You guys know I'm not a huge turkey hunter.
Yeah.
But I seen some of them big woods gobblers today,
Yeah?
and it got me a little bit excited. The last
you
2
fired
times
up?
I've been out in that area, you're just like out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
A little opening with some grass, and here's a gobbler just out there pecking around. I'm like,
Okay. Okay.
You sit here and you say you're not a big turkey guy, but we literally hunted almost every day last year.
Yeah, you
know,
guys
but-
hunted more the last couple years than I
dude.
have.
Well, it's our
but I don't like.
kids.
So I don't mind turkey hunting, and I do get a little fired up for it, especially the last couple of years. But I wouldn't call myself like a avid turkey hunter. I can call a couple turkeys in. Who can't call a turkey in?
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Charlie can't.
I'm not.
I can't
like,
call
like
turkey.
I don't.
Charlie can barely even hit him.
I could barely hit him. My kid does a
we
better
know.
job.
We know. Barely hit him's an understatement.
I don't know how many times I call birds within like smacking distance of him, and boom! Me and Aaron look at each other like, did he seriously just miss that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed
Kevin
one
showed
last
him
year.
up last year.
Yep.
Dumped one over with a 410 at 20 yards, and Charlie missed it with a 12 gauge.
We were trying to double down and missed it.
Oh man.
Yeah, the kid's totally making me look bad. That's
Kevin's
for sure.
probably looking at you like, dude,
I
step
did
up your
my end."
game. Come on.
Oh, talk about turkey season. He is fired right up.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out turkey hunting this year.
Yeah.
Well,
I am.
he's going.
No, I definitely am. I have to.
Yeah. Do it.
I'm gonna
Get yourself out.
get my boat ready, and
Don't get all pumped up about
'Cause-
walleye fishing and work and stuff. Just
I'm gonna get out on my
Slow
turkey
down
hunt.
a
But I
little
do need to get my boat ready because we're gonna smack the walleye for the walleye opener.
yeah, we'll be out turkey hunted out by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole week of turkey hunting.
Yeah, a week of turkey hunting and I'm set. I'm good.
Yeah.
By then they've been pissed with so bad.
Oh yeah, you can't even call them
You
in.
can't even call them in anymore. You're better off waiting until like the middle of May.
Yeah. So well, look at Tommy Moore. Tommy Moore he gets the late season every year, and he'll go out and kill turkeys. But that's because they haven't been called at in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They haven't been messed with in like
So
2
like
weeks.
the
by that
first
point.
3 days is great.
Yeah.
Like I love turkey hunting the first 3 days of season. And same thing, you get into the big chunks of ground where there's not a lot of turkeys and very few roads,
Not a lot of hunters.
Not a lot of hunters.
They
You
just
know,
don't
a
go.
lot of them birds out there don't get talked to at all.
Right.
So I guess after the second or third day, that's probably your best bet is trying to find some of them birds that most people don't even.
Yeah, go for the
they're
birds that
there.
are here, kind of local around the area that people are going to see every day in the backyards and stuff.
Yeah.
And then once they are all call shy, head out to the big woods. It's a
Right
good
now,
idea. Never thought of that.
right now I'm working down in Owego County, and there's a bunch of big public, and there's no snow. So I'll get out of work and I'll go scout because I'm looking for horns. Not scouting to hunt, I'm just scouting to look for horns. And the turkey that are in that area is insane.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Right before dark, or right before daylight, I'm working.
Mm.
And we'll hit fields and stuff, and we're hitting tree lines, and we'll do federal land and all that stuff. And that's all you hear is turkeys.
Yeah.
They're everywhere out there. I got a picture on my phone somewhere.
Well, one thing I liked about turkey hunting too, and this kind of brings us back to the main topic, was like you get out in the woods and you're seeing deer hunting areas too.
Yeah.
These, is the same areas we're gonna deer hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I liked it so much when I did do it. But I haven't turkey hunted seriously in 3 years, and I've called. I can't even count how many birds I've called in for people. First time turkey hunters, I just take them out. Like, hey, you want to go turkey hunting? I wouldn't even use my tag. I like you a cat hunting. I just like going out and I like calling in birds.
Yeah.
And then when one morning came along or an evening came along where no one was able to go, I'd go out and I'd get my bird and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, the little man, he's going back and forth. Who he's gonna ask to help him out this year? If it's gonna be you or Jake, he's going back and forth. I'm like,
well, it's not gonna be you, Dad.
No. But we got a whole bag full of turkey calls that we've been trying and working on. I got a couple youth ones for him and stuff, and he's a lot better than I am.
Well, I'm assuming Lexi's probably going to want a turkey hunt this year, so
Let's do it up.
we'll get together, and if Lexi is going to hunt, then you guys can go with Alvin. Me and Lexi can go out
Yeah.
opening
sure.
morning and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, we've been.
So I dug into decoys for the first time ever last year.
Did you?
That was a game changer.
Decoys?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have the right ones and they're positioned the right way. When you get your decoy game down, it can really turn it up.
We screwed up a couple different times trying
Yeah.
to put decoys out
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't work all the time, but I thought it was pretty cool, and it was probably more luck than anything. But so I went to work. I wasn't even fired up last year for turkey season. I hadn't bought my turkey tag or anything.
Yeah.
And it was opening day of turkey season. I go to work. I was working over by Mansalona. And get done working. I'm like, you know what? I might go turkey hunting this afternoon. Stop, grab my turkey tag. I'm like, I was at Jay's and I'm looking. I'm like, I'm going to buy some decoys.
Get some decoys.
So I do. I grab me some decoys. I think they were like $80 decoys. Nothing super
Yeah.
fancy, but decent decoys. And leave Jay's, start coming home. Right down the road here, I look, and there's a tom and a hen out in this field. Like, okay. So I'm going to get up behind them, set these decoys up, do some calling. Get up there, get up behind them. There's like this little well pad up on top of the hill behind them. They're out in a bigger field.
Yeah.
And then there's a trail that connects that bigger field to the well pad behind the bigger field. So I set the decoys up on that well pad to where if they come down that road, they could just catch the corner of those decoys,
Yeah.
Set them up, get behind a maple tree, start calling. He just starts going nuts. Actually, the hen lit up first. The hen just started going freaking crazy.
Yeah, seemed like another lady in her area.
Yeah, so she comes burning around the corner. Like within probably 2 minutes, she just comes flying around the corner. She sees the decoys, and she wasn't falling for it. She looks at him, she's gone. He comes around the corner. He sees the Jake decoy, comes over there.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah? Brand new decoys. Just got him out of the box. He comes up and jacks that thing with his spurs, and I blew him over. I was pumped, dude. I was like, this decoy thing's a game changer.
We'll do that again.
Yeah.
Well, we're sitting on the couch. Jake calls me up. He's like, "You have this." He's just fired right up. He's like, "You got your tag?" I'm like, "No, I don't have my tag."
I'm gonna shoot
He's
another
like, "Does
one.
Kevin got his tag?" I said, "Kevin's got his tag." All right, I'll see you in the morning. I'm like, "Okay, Kevin, we're going turkey hunting in the morning." He's like, "Okay." We got the 410 ready. Jake was fired up because he called me right afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was pretty pumped. I never watched. I've never used decoys. You know, I've seen it on TV and stuff, but to pull those things out of the box, set them up, and literally within 5 minutes of them set up, have a Tom come over and blow my Jake decoy over.
That would be pretty cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it for turkey hunting, eh?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get out. But like I said, I gotta get out and I gotta do a lot of deer scouting. I wanted to go look at the area over there. Re-killed the bear. I mean, I already have that all pretty much ready to go.
I bet you that'd be a good turkey hunting spot too.
Oh yeah, there's turkeys over
we
there for
went
sure.
out. We
Yeah.
did that one just out of high school over that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're over that way a little bit. You know, the crazy thing is you really don't have to go that far. That is the nice thing about this area. There's quite a bit of turkeys in the area.
Right.
But
yeah, you can go pretty much anywhere anymore and kill turkeys.
yeah.
Like where I was at today, it's like the least likely spot you would think of to go turkey hunt. You know what I mean? There's just nothing there that says turkey.
Yeah.
But man, there's quite a bit of turkey sign in there.
Oh.
Yeah, we had some excitement the very first morning right back here behind our house.
Yeah,
That
but
morning
this is
chasing
pretty dang good turkey country.
It is.
Well,
I don't
there's-
think it gets a
there's
whole
also-
lot better than right around here. You know?
Nice
There's also
rolling
two
hills.
brothers that drive around this area a lot. They're really really into turkeys, and it seems like every time it hits that corner, you always see them around here. So
Yeah.
I think they're related
they-
to Elvin. I'm not 100%, but I
They
think
hit
they're
it
related.
hard.
Oh yeah.
They hit her hard.
Yeah.
We're calling it.
They like that field.
Mm-hmm.
They like that. You cruise past her. First couple days, you're pretty much hunting all day. I'll drive past that field, and his truck will be parked in 3 different spots if I drive by 3 different. I'm like, how many times did he leave and come back?
Well, Kevin got his turkey.
There are
so,
more birds in this area.
So him and I are going out in the afternoon. Kevin's already got his turkey. So we're going out. We finally get on a turkey, get permission on that property to get that turkey. So we get up in there. We're, I don't know, 5 minutes into it. Yep. Here they come driving down there, and they stop, look at the turkeys, just keep on going.
Yeah.
We had to text them and go, "Hey, we're in here."
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I've had that happen. where
especially in this area.
people I've known, like, you're calling in a bird, you're trying to get him off a field to come to you, and maybe he's on a piece of private or something, and you're trying to get him over to the public, and you see people driving by, and, like, when you know him, you're like, whip out your phone, like, dude, I'm on these birds, go somewhere else. And, okay, but I've had people do that to me, too, where I'm like, I'm rolling past these turkeys, I'm looking out, with binoculars, trying to see how good the birds are, and then all of a sudden, a ping, you get a text on your phone like, dude, these things are 75 yards out. Please don't call them. I'm like, okay.
A couple years ago, I was hunting right here, and I was trying to call turkeys across the road.
Yeah.
And they start coming. I'm watching them. They're out there 200 yards, They're coming. They get almost to the road, and the county grades the road. The county truck goes by grading. They turn around. They go out the other way. Gets down there, he's gone 5 minutes or whatever. I start calling again. They turn right around. They start coming back again. They get almost to the road. County truck goes back by the road. I'm like, are you kidding me? Third time, the second time he went by, they didn't really run away from him.
Yeah.
They just kind of stood right there by the ditch. I started calling. Now they're getting a little bit leery, and
Finally.
yeah. The one steps out into the road. He's coming. I'm like, right on. County truck, back by again. I was like, how many times are you going to grade this road? It's smooth.
Yeah.
Come on.
We're good.
We're good here. I think he's seen me. He's like, oh, this guy's trying to call turkeys across the road.
Yeah. How do you
We'll
like
see
this?
about that.
I got to be working right now.
Did you end up getting a turkey gun or no?
No.
No.
I think I'm going to go to Jay's and probably pick one up. But then again, it's like, it's Tony. I usually hunt with Tony, but I know he's going to be busy. Used to hunt a lot with Joe, but obviously he's in Kansas now.
Well, just get yourself a turkey gun and a cat gun.
You get like 2-in-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like a cat gun, you need like shorter barrel, right?
Cat gun for me anymore is a 22 pistol, dude,
Yeah,
or a stick.
that'll work. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to pick something up. I got over and under shotguns. I got pumps. I got handful of rifles, half a dozen rifles at least. Do not have a single turkey gun. I got like single barrel 12 gauge that are like smooth bore.
Well, I will probably, if Lexi's going to turkey hunt, I'll probably end up using Parkman's 20 gauge for Lexi.
Yeah.
And then I've got my 870.
Let me know. I think I have a 20 gauge single shot that, if she needs to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 20. That's all I have is single shots. I don't have a pump. I don't have.
Yeah, neither do I.
Parkman's 20 gauges.
I got a pump, but it's not. It's like a smooth bore 20 gauge. It's like from the 80s or 70s, something like that. Had given to me.
We were impressed by the 410 that I bought Kevin. So
Yeah.
He dumped
That was
that turkey.
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I'd like to see if it performs the same way twice. Or if it just got one BB, right in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Because we've all seen turkeys get blown over by a 12 gauge and
Walk away.
walk away.
You're like, really?
Mm-hmm.
What the heck is going on?
Well, you could always use your bow.
I don't have my bow. I sold it. I gotta get another one. Sold my bow.
Like that's a year.
Honestly, though, I don't know what it was, but like that bow wasn't set up right for me. I don't know. You know how when you pick up a bow?
I'm not a fan of the bows that I used this year.
No?
No.
I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go to the new one.
So
I don't know
I
if-
think I'm going back to the old monster, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah, I
You
think
like
so.
that, don't you?
Yeah, I tried to upgrade this year and didn't work out to my benefit.
Well, like I said,
Like it's so much lighter. That monster is so heavy.
But
I
actually
love shooting that bow.
I don't mind a heavier bow.
I like a heavier bow as far as accuracy.
Yeah.
But like carrying it around, obviously
That's
in
where it's a
Ohio,
pain in the ass.
it sucked. It would suck. I had my lighter bow, but man, I don't know. So I shot a doe in late season with it, and so I killed 2 deer with it this year. You seen the one where it went in, hit the opposite shoulder, and the arrow like bounced back out.
Yeah.
I didn't like that, and then I
What
shot
broadheads were you using?
Rage.
Okay. Yeah.
And see, I tried the fixed blade thing too. So that buck that I hit that night that you came out and helped me track.
Oh, me and Charlie, we tracked it for what, like 2.5 miles, and it was hitting scrapes.
hitting
and-
scrapes.
Were you with us?
God, yeah, Charlie was with us.
Okay. Yeah, that was at G5 Montec.
Really?
Yeah. So I went. Other than that, so I used to shoot. The very first broadhead I ever shot was an 85 grain Thunderhead. And then went to a 100 grain Thunderhead when I started pulling back. I started out with 35 pounds.
Yeah.
So 100 grain was a little heavy for that. But I went to the 100 grade Thunderhead, and then I went to when they came out with the Rage. Started with the Rage 3-blade. And I used those for
I think I used the Rage 3-blade too.
for a few years, and then I went to the Rage 2-blade, but every deer I shot with the Rage 3-blade died. I never lost a deer with a 3-blade Rage.
I don't recall any that I lost. I will say this. I shot one. It was those G5 3-blade expandables. I forgot what the name of them were. I don't think they make them anymore. Those things were garbage. I shot like 4 deer with those, and not one single track was less than a quarter mile. One of them, the one I shot out in Kansas, we tracked it over 2 miles.
See, I've had
And it was good hits, too. Like,
That was
I
a
got those on film. Those were good hits.
That was a fixed blade.
No, it was an expandable. It was the one that, like
the point pushes back and the
Yeah.
blades. Yeah, is it the Meat something?
the Meat Seeker. Or,
Meat Seeker.
Is it? Is that
G5
it?
Meat
I think
Seeker
so.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, I will. And I like G5 products, but those particular broadheads, they just
Yeah.
I didn't like them. Obviously, I use the Montex now, the carbon ones.
Oh, really?
I love those. I've used those for the last 3 years, and
Well, the only reason I left a Rage was because they were junk after you killed the deer with them.
Yeah.
Like they would tweak or bend, you know.
Yeah, they're never right after.
And then I went to the G5s because I wanted to be able to reuse them, resharpen
Yep.
them, you know. Sounded great, but I lost that buck that I shot that time, and that pretty much just turned me off. I'm like, I'm going back to rage. If I got to buy new broadheads every year, I got to buy new broadheads every year. So.
Yeah.
Well, I went to a two blade rage, and first year having them, I shot a doe. Had my uncle Jim come out and help me track her. We tracked her. He ended up finding the arrow, and I ended up tightening the arrow up too tight or something, and that didn't open up.
Yeah.
And he went on his big spill. You know what I mean? You need to be using these.
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever. So I took the arrow and I threw it on the dashboard. I had home. This guy over here, he calls me up next morning. He's like, hey, you give me a hand? I was like, what's that? I said, hey, I just shot a buck. I said, yeah, give me a minute. He's like, yeah, I jumped in your truck last night or this morning or however it went. He's like, I grabbed an arrow from you. And I'm like, what arrow did you grab? I look on the dashboard, the arrow's gone. I'm like, how'd that work out for you? He's like, oh, it opened right up and everything. I'm like, I just used it the day before and it didn't even open up. It opens up for him.
Of course it does.
So I ended up going to Kill Zone from NAP. I used that. That was the first year I used those was when I killed my bear.
Oh, okay.
And then I had my first time in Ohio. I shot that one, the same spot at pretty much the same area. I shot the buck this past year.
Yeah.
And didn't get that much blood. So I stopped and I went to fixed blades.
Yeah.
Well, then I had just coming out of my bow all messed up with the fixed blade. So I ended up going back to Kill Zone this past year and ended up shooting that doe and shooting that 5-point in Ohio.
Yeah.
At his rage and then the NAP, I don't know. It's just the blood.
Yeah.
The tracking of it, it just opens right up.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind giving another fixed blade a try. Maybe I will give those a shot. I think, I don't know, after I went to a fixed blade, I was very hesitant about it because, accuracy and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I started realizing, like, I'm shooting deer inside of 30 yards most of the time. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't need super accuracy out to 80 yards or anything like that. I wasn't, So that's what I ended up doing. I shot a few deer with those, and man, the track jobs were awesome. And don't get me wrong, I've shot deer with a rage, and like it's a painted red trail all the way to them. But it just seems like there's that slight chance of a mechanical failure that I don't like.
One thing I'll say about the bigger broadheads, with a smaller diameter broadhead, they don't really seem to know what hit them unless you hit bone.
Yeah.
If you tuck it back behind the shoulder blade and just a straight pass-through shot, a smaller broadhead, it's like they'll go 80 yards and stop and just stand there and bleed out or choke to death,
I've seen that plenty.
Mm-hmm. But I've only seen a couple of deer that I shot with a rage actually go down because they hit so hard and they cause so much damage that it just causes them to go on a death run.
Yeah.
But with that being said, the blood trails are like insane. So it don't matter if they run 200 yards. You know what I mean? If they go on a 250-yard death run, you don't have a problem following the blood.
Yeah, by all means, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, that buck that I just brought up that the rage opened up for Jake, that thing, it was a 2-foot blood trail all the way to where the deer was at.
Yeah,
I
coming
remember
up both
which
sides.
buck was it?
That is the one we brought back home, and I got a picture of you and Kevin holding it.
Oh yeah, that
It was-
8-point.
I think I remember
It was
that.
the year after you lost your quiver.
Yeah, I shot that deer in the ass.
Dude, fucking blood everywhere.
I've done that too, though. Actually, I shot one. I didn't hit it in the ass. It was like right in front of the ham in the hindquarter and
That's
like
what
the back.
this was.
Yeah. Oh my God, that thing bled like a stuck pig. It only ran 40 yards.
Yeah.
I didn't see it fall, but like, soon I was kind of in a swampy area,
Yeah.
and I hit it, and it made a big turn. That was the one that I shot down a mile, and I was using an old like 1980s PS bow. I didn't think I was going to be able to deer hunt, and I was going to college, play basketball. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to deer hunt. And once I figured out my schedule, I'm like, I'm going to be able to deer hunt. Well, I think it was my girlfriend's dad at the time. He had one, and I was like, you using that? He's like, no, I haven't hunted in 15 years, something like that. And I was like, can you mind if I use it? He's like, no, go ahead. I got that, went got arrows for it, and sighted it in. Yeah, that's what I used. I killed that thing. Yeah, shot it right in front of the ham and the backstrap there, and I mean that thing, it just bled right out.
So I had the second bow I ever had was a Mission made by Matthews.
Yep, Matthews Mission.
Yep. That was probably, so I every deer I ever shot with that bow, I killed. I never lost a deer with that bow, and I never missed a deer with that bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hunted with it for, I don't know, probably 5-6 years, up until I bought the Monster from you.
Yeah.
So I've only ever owned 3 bows. I'm on my 4th one right now.
Huh.
And like I said, Brian down there, Untamed, he said bring that bow down. He might have parts and stuff for an old Matthews Monster, because that's what he used to shoot. He used to shoot the cold, it was the Monster, but
The Chill.
The Chill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's the exact
thing
same
with
bow.
it,
They just called it a different name.
Like mine, I think is just, like everything's beat on it. Like the limbs are beat on it, the cam's beat on it. It's noisy. Like when I first started shooting that bow, it seemed like deer never jumped the string.
Mm-hmm.
Never had to worry
Now
about
they
it.
are.
The last couple of years I've hunted with it, deer jumped the string.
I've had a few deer jump the string. I've also shot just completely over their back and completely under them. It's funny, I was actually reviewing footage today, and I had a nice 8-point. It was like maybe the first week of October. How often do you see a nice 8-point, broad daylight? It was like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. And I was thinking about making a video out of this. I'm not ashamed to show myself mess. I've done it plenty of times on our channel. But I snort wheezed this deer across the field to me. And I'm sitting on a popple that's like maybe 10 inches in diameter. It was nothing. I was in my climber too, the Summit. And this thing walks across the field, and I'm filming with one of those. When I first started filming, I was filming with a DSLR. So it's all I got to focus. I don't even have autofocus on, This is complete rookie stuff here. And I get this thing at 25 yards, and I draw back. Boom. Shoot. And it goes right under him. And I wasn't pissed off that I missed him. I was pissed off that I had a rangefinder in my pocket and I didn't range it. I just thought like that it was at, like 20 yards or whatever. But you're not going to miss like that at, in the difference of 5 yards. I, jerked the shot or whatever. Anyways, it runs it back across the field where it came from. Stops and looks back. I'm like, this thing has no idea what just happened. I snort wheezed at it again. A couple times, actually. And I got it to come all the way back across the field, except it was on the other edge. And then I finally shot at it again, and I hit it. And I hit it bad. And it ran off. So I was like, all right, well, I know I hit it. And I kind of waited. I texted everyone. Jordan, I think Aaron was out there too. And they're like, well, just wait. So we waited a couple hours. I finally get down. I start tracking this thing. And I get about maybe 80 yards into the track. I start going up a ridge, but it's really thick in the area where I was at. But I knew the terrain was going up because I could see it through some of the trees. And as I'm walking up it, that thing is laying right there. And that thing ran from there like another 1.5 miles without stopping, bedding, you name it, went down into the river. I'm almost 100% sure it just got in the river and went down.
Swam down the river.
Yeah. But I was so mad at myself because not only that, I just missed it, but then I screwed up on it again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at that time I was so worried about getting it on film. I was so geeked up about being able to kill a deer on film. That would have been my first one. And I think that, just kind of got the better of me. But yeah, anyways, I was reviewing that. But I think I don't even know where I was going with that. But I was just watching some old footage today because I'm breaking down some of the old, content that we have that I've never put out, and it's great footage, it's great content. Even if it's a learning lesson, it makes me look like a total frickin' rookie. But I want to start getting more of that out, and that was one of the ones that I saw today that I was like, oh. But I was using that's that G5 that I was using.
Okay.
Yep. I remember I ended up shooting a doe with it like a week and a half, 2 weeks later, me and Joe. And I was watching that film today too, and I never put that out because I didn't get a recovery because we started tracking it and there was barely any blood. But we could see the marks in the leaves, and I saw where it went, but we're like tracking it, and we knew these were its tracks. There's no blood coming out. I pinwheeled her like right behind the shoulder. What the hell is going on? Me and Joe, we just backed out. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing this. It just happened to me a week and a half ago. I thought I hit a deer good, and it just goes. It's like, I'm backing out. Well, I backed out. I went back the next morning, and it had gone like maybe 150 to 200 yards, and it was dead. But there was barely any blood. So from then on, I was like, I'm never using this broadhead again. I don't know if it opened. I mean, it looked like the hole was, decent, but after that, I was just like, no. So then I switched to the 2-blade Rage, because I went from the 3-blade Rage to the 3-blade G5, whatever it was at the time, and then I went to the 2-blade Rage, and I had pretty good luck with that. When you hit a deer right with a Rage, it's a painted red trail, and then I was just like, I don't know what happened, but I was just like, in the back of my head, always worried about a shoulder blade hit, and I wanted to be able to get through that shoulder blade. I mean, I have a 31-inch draw. I pull 70 pounds. I mean, I should be able to get through a shoulder pretty good with a fixed blade broadhead.
So I killed an 8-point with my bow. Oh, I don't even know. Like probably 4 years ago, maybe. And that was a 34-yard shot with a Rage 2-blade. I think that's when they came out with the hypodermic.
Yeah,
Rage hypodermic. And it was slightly quartering to me, and I was trying to tuck it like right up into the shoulder blade, but not on the shoulder blade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it came forward. I shot forward, just drilled the shoulder blade, but I watched the arrow disappear.
Yeah.
I seen the arrow disappear, and I'm like, man, I know for a fact I just smoked that deer right in the shoulder.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see the arrow, I couldn't see the arrow sticking out of it. It just disappeared. And the deer just blew off, started to go up a ridge and then disappeared. Go down there, and that thing blew right straight through the shoulder blade. Just blew it apart. Like, it almost looked like he shot it with a rifle.
Was it like the upper and like the paddle area? Where it's a little bit thinner?
It was, I guess, probably midsection. So the hit was probably halfway between the spine and the belly.
Okay.
But, right in the shoulder. And then it came out,
Well, you're about, what, 29, 30-inch draw?
29,
Yeah.
Well, that's actually what you had your monster at.
Yeah.
I never changed the draw length.
Well, I've always shot, like, I don't like my bow at 31. And that's what I was saying. This guy, when I went and got this bow set up, we set it at 31. I didn't like it. I don't know why I didn't like it. I like to be tight in with the bow. And I don't know why, because I've heard so many things about people where they're like, no, you got to be relaxed and, do the back tension bullshit and all that. And I don't know. It's like, I just like to pick up a bow. I like to be into it and be able to comfortably shoot that thing, and not just like, and so many people want to be able to, they're worried about being at full draw for so long. Like, when I go to shoot a deer, like, I'm pulling back slow, and like, even like people with a recurve, they're like pulling back, and then once they hit that point, they just let go. I'm not saying that's how I shoot a compound, but it's pretty damn close. This whole being at full draw forever and be like, oh, I could hold this bow all day. Why do you want to? I mean, I understand why it would be necessary, but yeah, that's why I had that a little short. Of course, I've also, probably grown a little bit. But yeah, my ideal, I think, would be about 30 and a half.
So you guys remember the phase that I went through where I was like passing up all these bucks, and I thought it was super cool.
Yeah.
And taking videos of them with my phone before I had a camera. And
Yeah,
that's when
remember.
you sent me with a camera. That was the first time that you ever sent me with a camera. I seen you somewhere, and I was showing you videos on my phone. It's like, yeah, I passed this buck up. I passed this buck up. And you're like, what are you doing, dude? Why are you not shooting these deer?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I'm waiting for something bigger.
Well, yeah, you did. You did have that bigger one. He came down and laid right down at 100
But these were
yards away.
decent Michigan bucks. Yeah. They were
the one that I look back on, like, I don't regret passing up any of them, other than the one up in the hills.
Probably the one
So
that
it
I'm
would have been
talking
the year
about.
before I got the camera from Alvin. The year before Tommy. Remember the year Tommy came and filmed for me?
Yep.
And filmed that big white-horned 8-point.
Yep.
I was actually in that same tree stand. Probably just like a 3.5-year-old 10-point, real chocolate horned. Walks by at 30 yards, dude, stops, broadside. I'm like, I'm going to let him pass. That one eats me to this day. I'm like, why did I not kill that deer?
Yeah.
You know? But in my defense, I watched a bigger buck chase a doe.
Yeah.
Like 45 minutes before that at 45 yards. So that probably had a lot to do with why I passed him up. But
Yeah, I fling arrows and hit him in the shoulder all the time. So
then do you still have the footage of that one that I filmed that walks right underneath my tree stand?
I don't know. I'd have to look at my hard
was a
drive.
big-
I have like 5 hard drives.
That was a big, heavy horn deer, too. So it would have been the same year, I think, that Tommy filmed in the same tree, filmed me.
Yeah.
I think it was that same year.
So probably be like, what, 2015 or 2016?
Yeah, probably something like that.
Because if our first year filming was 2014.
yeah,
I don't think you've.
we didn't do anything.
It would have been,
2014.
I think, 2016 because I didn't have a camera the year
You shot your big one.
the year I shot my big buck.
Right. Yeah. So that was
So it would have
2015.
been 2016. I'm sure it was
Yep.
the first year of the camera. I had that, just a big, heavy horn 10-point. Like 3 or 4 bucks went chasing a doe by me. And once they got out of sight, I get on the grunt call and make a couple grunt series. And I hear something behind me, and I turn, and this deer is like off the left side of my tree stand right underneath of me. And the camera's right here. Well, I go to turn. Well, I can't get the camera onto it. I could have easily drew my bow and spun like this and drilled him.
Yeah.
But he's walking behind me, so he's going to come out over here. And when he comes out over here, I'll be able to drill him.
Right.
He comes out, and I draw, and I don't know if you remember, but I had the camera zoomed way out. Like, you could see the deer fine and everything, but it was zoomed way out. Draw on him, he's at like 25 yards. Stop him, and he stops. There's a maple tree right in his vitals. And he takes off walking. He gets like 30, 35 yards. I stop him. Same thing. Maple tree right in his vitals. Turns right straight away from me and walks off. Yeah, you got that footage somewhere, I think.
Was there snow on the ground, or was it early season?
Is it?
No, it was the raw. It was the first week in November, but there was no snow.
Okay, I think I know which one you're talking about, because it's that might be the same year you saw that big one in the snow.
I think it was the same year.
Okay, yeah, you were onto him that year. I remember I don't know when it was, but yeah, he came up to me. He's like, "Yeah, check this out. It's on my phone." He had like, it was an early season. You were hunting the hills. I mean, it was green as green can be, and he's got bucks just coming out, and I'm like, "Dude, like, what are you doing?" I mean, and that right there is like that kind of turned me on to like trying to figure out the hills and everything, because you've done pretty good up in the hills.
I love bow hunting in the hills.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think in rifle season it gets, well, in the areas that I've hunted in the hills, I think it gets hunted pretty hard.
So I've always said that I wanted to try hunting the hills the first day or two of gun season, the way that I bow hunt, and using the pressure to my advantage, but I've yet to ever do it. Like, if I go to the hills, it's on the 4th, 5th, 6th day of season. Yeah. And I killed a couple bucks with my gun in the hills
Yeah.
later in the season that was it 2018? The 8-point with the hole and
Yeah, yep.
the beam.
Yep.
That was in the hills.
Yeah, it was 2018.
I think that was like the 4th or 5th day of season.
Yeah, that was a nice buck. I know, like this year, well, actually the last 2 years, I'd hunt out on on some of the marshes in the morning, and then I go to the hills in the evening. I almost think I should be doing it the other way around.
I think so. Yeah.
Mornings are way better and way more active in the hills.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, like, a lot of the bucks that I get on, of course, it all depends on where you have your trail cameras, too. Like, my trail cameras are at the top of hills where there's no road access or anything. Nobody's climbing those hills. That's where I have my trail camera. I put them out there in September, and I don't go to get them until the spring.
Yeah.
When their batteries die, if they die, that's it. I'm going to get them in the spring. I'm not going back up there because
That's if you
I
can get
think
them
a
to work.
lot of it's the
Yeah.
access.
I think it is, too.
You know, the deer are bedded when you try to get in the afternoon.
Yep.
And
You
yeah,
can't get
might
in the
see
right
some
position.
deer and stuff, but I think getting into a good spot in the hills in the afternoon without bumping the buck you're targeting is very difficult.
Yeah.
It's where in the morning you get in before daylight and he's out cruising around yet.
Yep.
You know, you get up in the stand before he even thinks about laying down.
He's coming back to you.
And he's coming to you, yeah, as to in the afternoon you're basically going to him.
Yeah, trying to get in as close as possible. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know there's a lot of areas like that I wanted to do in spring scouting to go in there. Because I tell you what, like, I'm going to go in there in October and I will hang permanent stands in there in a few of those spots that, were really, really good. They're going to continue to be good because the select cuts that they do in there. I mean, yeah.
Well, talking about spring scouting, what's your number one target you're going to be looking into when you get into this spring scouting? What's your first step? You going to go right to the hills, or are you going to go down in the swamp?
I'm actually going to go down in the swamp. Well, the hills are probably going to be easily more like I can access them first, so I might look at them first. But my main priority is figuring out a couple of the stuff in the swamp. I need a couple good sets. I just got to go in. I got to see what they did last year. I got to see what signs being left, whether it be rubs, scrapes, runways, trails. If I can find any beds, that's cool, but it doesn't really mean anything this time of year. If you're finding beds this time of year, it means nothing comes October, November. It means nothing. So
I think the one big thing about spring scouting in the hills is the hills that we hunt, it's absolutely just solid green in early season October. So if you go in there in the spring, you can really see those the cover, that the deer are going to use in late October, early November. You're seeing it the way it's going to be when you're hunting it during the rut. So you can find those edges and stuff, you know.
On the edges of select cuts and stuff where it's really thick. Well, you guys, everyone listening, they're going to see on the, I think it's a 4th or 5th deer camp episode. But I found a good knob that is it was all select cutted and is literally thick as hell with that beach scrub. Oh my God. I'm going to have a permanent stand because where I shot that doe, that's a bedding point. I'm going to put that tree stand in that tree. That way I can get there every time, because with any north, northwest, west, southwest, south, I might be able to get away with it, but I probably won't. Any of those winds, I can literally stare at that knob all day. And you guys remember that nice 9-point I had on camera? Was it Thanksgiving morning? Yeah, it was Thanksgiving morning. It was like 11 a.m.
Yeah, because you were showing
Here
us
comes this giant just marching right down
this year or
knob.
last year?
It was this year.
this year. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't hunt because we were getting ready for the deer drive.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of getting my stuff ready, and phone sends me a picture. And here's this giant just coming right off this knob. And I knew it too because I'd been in there quite a bit. I actually did a scouting video, early season scouting video in there. That was one of the trail cameras that I had put up. And I knew that once November came and all the foliage was off the trees, these thicker areas are where the deer are going to travel through. They're not going to travel through the open hardwoods down at the bottom, where the logging roads are, they're going to stay up there as much as they can. If they have to come down, they're going to come down one drainage, hurry up and get into another drainage where they're covered, and then get to the top of another ridge to travel. But that tree stand where everyone's going to see where I shot that doe, she was literally bedded right there. There was no way I was getting out of there. It was like a 100-yard shot. I was either shooting that doe or spooking them. Either way. And I had the doe tag, and I was like, I'm going to shoot this doe.
So I feel like all the bedding points that I've found, I feel like they prefer a more open, like not so much their travel, but where they actually lay on that point, they want to be
So they
in
can
the
see.
open so they can see. And they're going to be right on that edge, so at any point they can just bail off the end of that point.
Yeah.
At any point, they see you come and smell you, see you,
Gone.
whatever. Boom, one bound and they're gone over that edge.
Yeah. The hills are tricky. But yeah, I know I'm going to get that figured out. I know, Jake, we got to go out to that swamp because I want to take a look at that.
There's some really good hills there, too.
There is.
I've never even stepped foot in the hills there, just bear hunted it down in the swamp.
Well, I sent you my tracks of how I access there, and I
Yeah.
actually go through some pretty good bow hunting stuff.
Yeah,
But
it seems like a pretty good saddle that you cross
Yeah.
when you hop from this ridge to this ridge. It seems like there's a pretty good saddle right there.
Yeah. But, I mean, you got to think, because I go over there to rifle hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I go over there on opening day, there's going to be 30 headlamps,
Right.
For sure.
And that's why, I have no problem walking through all that because I know where the deer are going once the pressure
There's
gets.
permanent deer blinds all over that pipe.
Oh, yeah.
That power line.
Yeah.
They're looking at each other all the way down that power
Seriously.
line.
And,
And they're sweet. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I can guarantee.
I guarantee they kill big deer.
Yeah, there's cattail marshes that cross that power line, and they got
Yeah.
box blinds set up watching them cattail marshes, and
Yeah.
big deer crossing them.
But the few times that I've hunted, I've never seen anyone back there. I've never went back there in the morning either, though.
Right.
So I imagine if I went back there in the morning, I would see other headlamps and stuff. But I'd go back in there in 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever because I'd make the drive over and I'd just hunt the rest of the day. But
What about you, Jake? Are you gonna look into anything new? By now, everyone's seen the frozen trigger buck, so
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go try to scoop up his sheds. Make it sound easy, but
right.
I think my chances are pretty slim of finding it. But I'm gonna get in there and
God, if you found them, oh my God,
wouldn't
be
that be
awesome.
awesome?
that deer's stupid big.
Try to.
So I seen that deer in person.
Elk season,
During
wasn't
elk
it?
season,
Yeah.
yes. It was obviously late season. He was with 2 other bucks.
We thought he'd be out of that area by then.
Yeah. And I scouted it, just enough to get an idea of how I wanted to hunt it. And I didn't really get into his bedroom, last year, because that was the first time I ever scouted it. And it was kind of a last minute. Well, that's how the deer camp in episode 1, that's where I was at. And that scouting video was right there, scouting that out. And I haven't really dug down into his bedroom at all, so I'm going to do that this spring and see what kind of intel I can pull from that.
That'd be pretty cool to find out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the good things about having all three of us as a good tool, because like this past year for my scouting, I took you in there with me just to have a fresh eyes. You know what I mean? That just helps us. Just like Elvin saying, he's going to take you in there in that marsh or that swamp area. It's just nice because something we've looked over.
Yeah.
You can see that we haven't saw yet. You know what I mean? So it's kind of nice. But yeah, it'd be pretty cool if you found them sheds, for sure.
Yeah.
If anybody's gonna find those sheds, it'd be you.
Yeah, old Jimmy Shepherd.
Go get
Jimmy
'em.
Shepherd, he'll be looking.
Yeah. No, I got into some new swamp grounds that I haven't really targeted in a while, and you opened my eyes a little bit on a little bit of the river stuff. So I think I got one spot that I have been marked for a while, and I just it's hard for me to get into this one spot, and it's over by one of my old spots. And I got to go there without Kevin because it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to have to cross the river to get to it.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the exact same terrain that I just shot my 2 bucks this year, just in a whole different area. So I'm going to take key points that I've learned with Jake this year on that river.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone else says, you know, you got that oxbow and the little pinch points and stuff. But at the same time, I want to see if it's just a fluke type thing or can I do it somewhere else.
Replicate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
you're just basically taking a pattern that's worked for you, and you're going to try finding it somewhere else. And it starts with terrain features.
Yep.
Jake, you pointed out, I think we were sitting there at deer camp the one night, and you pointed out, how, excuse me, how you thought that buck was getting from where you thought he summered and maybe stayed in the fall, you know, all the way up to there. And that immediately got me thinking of different areas that I know exactly like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if that buck is traveling that whole way, okay, and you know they are. You know they stay right on that whole cedar swamp system all the way up, okay? I found that one area that I pointed out to you, it's got a clear cut on the west side of it. Well, I went in there, and I actually shot a doe out of there a couple years ago. It's the one I shot over, I think it's over by Matt. It's over by Matt's house.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So I shot a doe over there, and I actually walked into that clear cut.
Isn't that over by where Joe shot his 8-point?
Joe actually, that was further east where he shot that.
Further east?
Yeah, but you don't even want to walk around that because I went there and scouted. Dude, there are blinds in there. There are shooting lanes.
That's how it was.
There are corn cobs. I mean, I'm like, dude, I don't even want
Was
to
that
know.
more towards where you had your 2?
That's how. Remember when you and Tyler Noweski
that's what I was
sat in
gonna
that
say.
big white pine?
Yeah.
So that's over toward that. You know, this would have been.
But I would be on the east side of that swamp.
Well, I think north.
Northeast, yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, you think about it, any deer coming from the south, they're going to follow that swamp system. Any deer coming from the north, they're going to come out and they're going to be constricted. Because that swamp system, what is that, maybe a couple 150, 200 yards wide?
Yeah.
Right there by those 2 clear cuts. There's a clear cut on each side.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's like, dude, that's deer killing land right there. Yeah, you know, that's a transitional pattern like we're just talking
And
about.
even when it grows up, you know, they might have more cover on each side, but they're still going to use that same edge.
Right.
You know what
They're
I mean?
still going to come peeking their nose out just like the frozen trigger buck. They're going to poke their head out looking out into that clear cut, even if they're marching through that swamp.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times we look for, you know, small funnels, small pinch points, small travel corridors.
Mm-hmm.
When, like I did that day at camp, I was trying to figure out, I thought that I had a shed off from this deer from over here.
Yeah.
I'm like, how'd that deer get from here to here, which was what, like 5 miles or something?
I thought it was 6. I could
6.
do the.
I don't even
on the
remember.
map.
It was a long.
It was a long ways.
And you zoom out on the map, and you're like, look at this travel corridor. You know,
It's
it
staring
connects-
you right in the face.
Connects the dots perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, from here to here. His shed was here. I got him here, and here's this giant travel corridor that goes the whole way. I'm like, that's how he's doing it.
Yeah. And then I think once you pulled out your phone and you mapped that out, I was like, immediately I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
light bulb.
Yeah.
And then I looked at your setup, you know, it was like river bottom, but it's pretty much the same
Pretty
thing.
much the same
It's
thing.
the same thing. Them deer use that little swamp the same way. And if for people listening at home, we're not talking about a cattail swamp. We're talking about cedar
Cedars,
blowdown swamp.
Just nasty to walk through.
Nasty, yeah. And there's little deer trails, you know, that just weave through there. I mean, it's cedar swamp dark, and you know, like that river bottom you were hunting, that was all cedar swamp.
Right.
And it just so happened the area, and you had a couple spots in there, but the spot where you shot that buck, it just opened up a bit.
Yep.
There's a couple areas where they crossed.
Yeah, and you go 10, 15 feet in there, and you can't see more than 10
Right.
feet. It's just
Well, how many?
thick.
And you were just saying, like, you started looking at that, and you're like, where can I implement the same pattern somewhere else? I think that's where a lot of people, they get kind of confused. They're like, this is the spot. This is the spot. And it's like, yeah, that may be a good spot, but you could take the same transitional pattern or, travel patterns, and you can implement them in different other areas, within your hunting area. So immediately I started looking at different areas where I could put that pattern together, like you were talking. So that's why I pointed out to you. I said, hey, I think I'm onto something with this. Check this out. And then you had mentioned that, Tyler had tried hunting up there before. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I got a picture of me and Jake.
Probably didn't hunt it very much.
No.
Old squirrel get
he
cold
had
and go
two.
back camp.
He had 2 big bucks there.
2 big,
Yeah.
2 or
Was
3
it like
big
the
bucks.
second morning?
Yeah.
Second morning of gun season, he didn't hunt.
Had it on trail
And
camera.
he
Yeah,
had
on trail
like a
camera.
big 9 and a big 10 standing in front of his camera, just like 9
But
o'clock in the morning.
But I think that was also the year he was having issues with them hunters too. He had hunters on him that year too, though.
Good,
on
because if
opening
they
day.
come in from the south and you have any southerly wind, them deer are not going to go out into that clear cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the year him and I sat
That
together.
is a sweet spot now that you mentioned that. I remember where you're talking about.
Yeah. I already have the
Well,
tree
that's-
picked out, bud.
Yeah.
Well, that's where me and
Well,
Travis
and
saw
that's
that
one
big
of those.
buck.
That's one of those spots that connects from a big chunk
Yeah.
where deer, big deer are
Oh,
going to
yeah.
grow, and that's a travel corridor from hell,
Yeah.
connecting that to a bigger swamp
Yeah.
that's just big and desolate. You're going from a big desolate swamp, awesome travel corridor, to a place that deer are going to
Yeah.
grow and be safe.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same spot that me and Travis floated an area. It was tight to float. Don't get me wrong, we shouldn't have been
Yeah.
there. But we came around to Oxbow Bend, and here's this buck, and the brow tines on it were easily 6-7 inches tall.
Yeah.
And when we first saw it, we thought it was a spike horn, till it turned.
Ah.
It was insane. And I think it was the same year that older guy. Didn't you help him drag it out or help him put it in the back of his truck, or you came up on him and he was just getting out to the road? It was the same year you just missed that buck crossing the river. That was that year. It was Thanksgiving days when we
Oh
saw
no,
the
that
buck.
was younger guys.
Was it?
Yeah, it was 2 younger guys in the same river.
Same river.
They had 2 bucks in their canoe.
God.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
We just missed it by an inch.
you guys started that. Now you have me on a warpath. I'm not lying. You guys got me on a warpath.
It just opens your eyes.
It does, but I think that's also kind of like what pushes us, because you guys having a good year lights a fire under my ass, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna be ready next year.
Yeah.
And I'll be doing. And it also makes us better, because it's like I have you two for input. I have my brother too. And we all feed off each other.
Yeah.
It's like, hey. And it's a nice thing having good hunting buddies that you can trust, because most people don't. Most people, they're not sharing their hunting spots.
No.
Yeah.
I'll drop a pin right to you and be like, hey, this is where I shot that deer. This is where he came from. I'll get your, both of your
Well, and we
inputs.
have to do that, because otherwise we'll be like, I want to scout a spot, and then I'll be there like 3 days later and be like, oh shit, there's a tree stand up there.
Oh, who's this at?
Oh, that's mine.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, where you killed the bear. You're like, dude,
Yeah.
this is sweet over here. I'm like,
This is
yeah.
so
He
badass.
said, you go out to that marsh, you're going to see a tree stand 55 feet in the air.
Yeah, but you hit it right on the button there. It's teamwork.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
it's
wouldn't have
amazing.
shot both. I wouldn't have shot my big buck this year if I didn't take Jake in there, because I would have screwed it all up by the way I went in my access point.
Yeah.
He came in and literally, it's it's not cold out, but the river's not like warm or anything, and Jake's like, you need to access it from here. We're standing next to the river on the side I shot the deer on. He's like, you need to access it from here. And he's looking, and I'm like, yeah, I understand. He just goes right straight across the river. He's like, I'm telling you, you need to cross it right here. And I'm like, all right, I got your point, Jake. So we walked to that side. We walked that whole side.
Yeah.
And then we found a spot where I could cross better, 3 spots.
What was the deer sign like on that side? What were the runways like? I mean,
You're talking about the side I accessed?
I mean, both sides, really.
Both sides.
I mean, or actually, once you get to the other side, because that's where all your deer came from.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones you got on film, anyways.
Well, the access side, there was a lot of does.
Okay.
You can see the doe bedding. You can see the doe sign. You can see where the crossing. But for big buck sign, there wasn't that much on that one side.
No, he wouldn't cross the river there.
No. And then I didn't have, like, I had cameras over there. You know what I mean? Just regular cameras. I didn't have service for my other cameras.
Yeah, so he stayed on the west side of the
Yeah.
river.
So the bucks that I did have were deep in there, and then you just catch them coming across.
It's nasty back in there.
Yes.
I have walked back in there before, and it was just, I mean, like maybe 10 years ago. And I just remember like being in there and being like, why did I decide to go in here? Like, this is stupid. I'm not going to be able to get in here quietly. Why am I even trying?
But you get into them thick areas, and you'll come across, like where I took Jake the very first time when we got across the river, and I said, you need to see this spot. This reminds me of Tony's spot in Ohio.
Yeah.
Where he shot his big one.
Yeah.
Like, it just reminds me of something in Ohio. So we get through the thick stuff, and it opens up, and it's kind of like it's a dry, high spot.
Yeah.
That if you take it all the way, it'll take you into a small marsh.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this side will take you kind of to an open spot.
Yep.
But coming off this was just runways, and they just meet each other.
I think I know what it's a drainage, right?
Yeah,
I think I know
somewhat.
which one you're talking
It's like
about.
a drainage slash goes into like a high bench into
Yeah.
the swamp, and then
Yep.
it drops back down.
Okay.
And so I showed Jake that, and he's like, "Oh yeah, obviously we need a camera here." So we put a camera up, and then we got back into the swamp, found the same spot
Yeah.
where it's across, and literally you get on that one runway, takes you right to where I shot that buck.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go over to where we just put the camera up, follow the one runway towards the river, and it circles and comes right back to that same spot.
Yeah.
We walk back out where he crossed the river. Same thing. You get on that one spot, and you run that main runway. It comes right to those two spots where my camera's at.
Yeah.
So but you get off those paths, and you'd be like, man, this is so thick. You look down, here's deer tracks,
Yeah.
but no runways.
So it's like it's like a crazy travel corridor, but there's nothing that you can look at that to explain it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Well,
It's just-
it's hard to even like where we hunt because you can be up in hills.
like I still couldn't tell you why the deer are using that to travel the way they are.
Mhm.
You know, like
Mhm.
I don't know.
Well, do you think they're? Because how far are you from the cabin from right there?
It's a long way.
Long ways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that
long
cabin
ways.
is completely vacant.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because I
And it
still
has
had
been
fish up in
for
there.
years.
That,
now.
oh my god, that stretch is awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice stretch.
Yeah, it's just one of those spots. Like, I don't know. There's just nothing there to tell you. Like, if you weren't looking for a deer sign,
Yeah.
you know, you would walk through there and just
Do
be
you-
like, we're in a cedar
Now,
swamp.
see that 9-point, the big 9 that I had him 3 miles away
Yeah.
on a camera, because the big one that I shot this year would come into that area and get in that thick swamp where I had the two cameras.
Yeah.
He'd hit that spot and that big 9 would disappear. Then I went and checked my cameras down the river a little bit, about almost 2.5-3 miles away. And here I got that 9. But then that 9 would
So it's a dead giveaway that they're just traveling up
they're
and
just
down.
traveling up and down. It's just I think in those areas, the last 3.5 years have been even though I didn't see the buck in person, I didn't get to shoot the buck either of those years, but I ended up getting it 3.5 years on a 6.5-year-old deer.
Yeah.
But I've been chasing them for 4, 3.5, 4 years now.
Yeah.
And it was just fun to
Learn his ways.
And to literally just hunt that buck. Like that big 9, you know what I mean? I only had a split look when that buck came out of that thicket, and all I saw was that one brow tine. And I'm like, that's him. And I just fucking hammered down and shot. You know
Yeah,
what I
you
mean?
didn't even give him time to.
But at the same time, I didn't know if it was the big 9 because the big 9's like right there with the big 8.
Now you're.
But at the same time, that's the only thing I had in my mind was to shoot and get him, is because of the chase.
Yeah, he was
And
after that doe.
Yeah, and I think when you find a spot like that and you can't figure out why he's there, it's almost to the point where you just need to hunt that buck in that area. It's one of them spots where you find, just like the drop tine buck.
Yeah.
I mean, Jake finds the drop tine buck in a certain area, gets his daylight pictures, and now he goes back to that spot, and there's no like major big buck sign in that area anymore.
Hasn't been for years.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I might go back there this spring.
It's almost like that deer inhabited that area himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then
It's
the
like,
does.
this is my home.
Yeah.
I got my girls here with me.
Yeah, they knew where to find him.
But it was weird today walking through there, dude. I'm not joking you. I did not cut a deer track in the snow. Not one deer track in the snow.
That's what I'm saying. I might have myself a drop tine buck area now. I mean, yeah, but I did have the big 9 on camera.
Yeah, you
in
had
December.
you had more deer in
Yeah,
there.
I had a bunch. I have 2 8s that look exactly like
The bad thing
one I
about the
shot.
drop tine buck was if Jake was going in there to hunt him, that was the only deer he was going to see, or a doe
Right.
with
Yeah.
him.
Yep.
That's the way that was, because no other bucks went into his area.
Yeah. Well, the one year, it was crazy when we had the stickers buck, the drop tine buck, and the buck I shot.
Yeah.
All 3 of those giant bucks.
Dude, those were 3 monsters
All in the same swamp.
within, like, what do we want to say here?
And
like,
I think that's what made them. They were all killable that year
yeah.
because
they were all
they were all competing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were doing stupid shit because they had competition.
Yeah. The stickers buck, he stayed to the north.
Yeah. So. Yeah, a girl shot him
On opening morning.
on opening. It was actually, so I talked to her dad. I actually ran into him a year or 2 later, up there to the north. I kind of like up by where Tommy.
Yeah.
So not quite that far north, just back south a little bit.
Okay.
But I ran into her dad. I was actually hunting a new spot that I'd never hunted before, and I came out and he left a note on my truck.
Mm.
And it was just kind of a last minute spot that I hadn't really scouted or anything, you know. And I called him and he let me know, you know, that I was walking by a couple of his blinds. And he was super cool about it, you know. And I'll tell you what, them guys build some brush blinds that you can walk right by and you have no idea they're there. Honest to God.
Wow.
But yeah, I ended up getting out of that area and talked to him, but we got talking back and forth, you know, and somehow, some way, the drop tine buck came up. His daughter also shot the baby drop tine buck.
Oh, it wasn't the same year, though.
It was
Not
the
the
same.
It was the next year.
No, it was,
Yeah, it was the next year.
Yeah.
So she shot that stickers buck walking to her tree stand, or her blind, after lunch. It was like 1, 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And she walked up to her blind, and he was standing in front of her blind. And she killed him at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then it was the following year, opening day, she killed the
baby drop.
baby drop buck.
Right after you let him
in
go.
the same blind. Yep.
Yeah.
That was the same thing. She killed him like midday.
What does that tell you?
She was in a badass spot.
Yeah.
Bucks move midday too.
She was right on that
She was
buck's bed.
Right on a buck bedding.
Right on that buck bed.
Yeah, but that drop tine spot, you know what I mean? You have to go in there at least once a year just to double check, make sure nothing's
Oh, believe me, I know.
some other ghost didn't pop up.
I got my spots that I could go to every single year, and I try to take a look at it and see what's in there.
So,
But I think they're just getting hit a little too hard. And I haven't had anything big on camera in some of the, you know, in those areas. Although I did last year have a nice, it was a 10-point. Remember, my trail camera wasn't working. Never got any of those pictures until I went and checked it in elk season.
That's a sore subject.
I'm not happy with that incident.
So I think I told you guys, like, I had a I got a tree picked out, and I was gonna hang a stand on a marsh in the drop tine buck country there, and there was deer sign there and a little bit of buck sign, but just like I'm talking like buck rubs on trees big as your pinky.
Yeah.
You know, like there wasn't anything there that was like there's a big deer in this area, you know, but there was some deer sign there, and it was one of those spots that I overlooked when I was hunting that area.
Yeah.
You know, I never hunted it, and I don't know why I didn't. I don't know why I overlooked it. I walked right frickin' by it to get to where I hunted.
Yeah.
You know, and going back in there this year, I looked at it and I'm like, this is pretty frickin' sweet.
Yeah.
And there's a perfect, great big white pine right there for a tree stand 40
Just
feet
calling
in
your
there.
name.
Yeah, and
Jake,
I just going to Ohio, I'd never got a chance to hang a tree stand in it, but I was gonna hang a tree stand in it and just hunt it once or twice to see what happened.
Yeah.
But I'll probably do that for sure this coming year.
Yeah, I got a spot that I got pinned out, but it's gonna be a waiters and no kid type thing, but it's gonna be pretty much the same thing that I just hunted this past year.
Yeah.
So you want to know what I think a lot of that has to do with?
What's that?
So when we hunted that drop tine buck and we had all them bucks in there, the DNR were planting all them little tiny food plots through there for the elk.
Yeah.
It's just like quarter acre food plot one after another. Boom, 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 boom. And they
Good
were
bird
planting
hunting in there.
planted the trails and everything. Well,
Yep.
they haven't planted those ever since then.
Yeah.
You know, I think has a lot to do with why that died off so bad.
It might be. I haven't been back there. It's been.
Like those used to all be clover and rye and
Yeah. I walked
nice
back
food
in there.
plots.
Man, I don't even know when. I know I had Bella, so I had to be, 2016 or later.
Yep.
And I went back in there bird hunting, and we're walking back through there, and like there's elk bugling, and I'm just like, man, so all the fields were planted, even like you said, the trails. Like They even put seed down on the trails, connecting all the little fields there. Like this is sweet.
Yeah.
But obviously in deer hunts,
And not that we hunt on them during gun season, but
right.
I feel like that because there's no acorns there.
There's a reason for them to be there, though.
Right. Yeah.
And if they're coming out of the area where you were hunting, the wind's usually in their favor getting into those fields.
Right.
So it makes sense why they'd want to be in there.
Yeah.
It's a good setup for them.
Yeah.
They can they can leave their beds and, access that food. They can transition to it and cover. They already have the wind in their favor when they get on those food plots, and then they can, stay there all night if they want.
Right.
Yeah.
But could you imagine like some of the action, like maybe in like late October when bucks are really getting on their feet and starting to scrape and stuff? Could you imagine how many bucks ran up and down that trail trying to cut does?
Oh yeah.
I would imagine there'd be scrapes all over those trails and fields.
Yeah. So I never really I walked through those fields here and there, but I never really. I wish I'd have hung cameras on those field edges just to see what kind of nighttime activity was there when those fields were planted.
Yeah, I mean, we in preseason we can't really get in there and spotlight or anything.
And it was the same thing across the road where you hunted.
Mm-hmm.
That's all a series of planted fields too. And they haven't planted those in forever,
That's why I haven't even put that tree stand back in there since, it had to be almost like 2018. Yeah. I just quit putting them in there because number one, that clear cut was growing up to the point where it was now bedding. You couldn't get to that tree stand in the morning.
Well, Joe hunted it like out of a ladder stand or something, didn't he?
No, we actually moved it to the south edge of that.
Yeah.
So because it was a little bit more open, and he deer hunted that. That was the year I think he shot that one.
Out of Lonnie's spot.
No, yes, it was that
so
year.
So he ended up shooting the buck out of Lonnie's spot later in the season.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because Charlie put a pop up there.
Yep.
You went in there and put that pop up in there with him, didn't you?
Yeah, and then
I didn't.
Who's that?
Charlie, you did. With Joe, that 4-point shot or whatever.
No, I set that up.
Okay.
I set it. Yeah, I put the pop up and I got everything set up because It was a
He was trying to
spot.
sneak up my back door.
Probably.
He was.
Well, because he knows Lonnie got the drop time buck. And
Well, I
in
had
that
I
cutting.
had the baby drop on there, and Jake's like, "Hey, you better not shoot him." Well, I set it up for if we had our kids, we had somewhere
Yeah.
to go to. Well, that was the year Joe was having that issues, and he wounded that one deer on opening day during the rain. And I was like, "Hey, if you really want, you know what I mean, I'm gonna have a couple little bucks come through."
Yeah.
He didn't even make it to the deer blind that night or that day. Remember?
Yeah, because it was standing out there.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Can
was
you
just-
imagine that?
Well, then Jake's like, well, you know, man, I don't want nobody else shooting that baby drop. And at this time, we didn't know it was already shot.
Right, right.
And I was like, okay. And I told, and Joe texted me. He's like, I just shot a small one. I'm like, well, sorry, Jake.
You thought it was a baby
I
drop.
didn't know what it was because he didn't tell us
God,
yet.
he was so geeked up about that. That was awesome.
So, but I was hunting just down the road, so I went down and I gave
Helped
him a
him out.
hand. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's the major reason I set that up was for.
But that
if
was
we
a
had
good
our
area
kids.
because it was an older cutting that they came in. It was like a popple slashing now.
Yeah, you can't put a tree stand in it right now.
No, not anymore.
It's
It's,
so
too it's too
thick.
grown up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like some of those areas, like that's why that one clear cut that I was up on, like I took that tree stand, like I took it down. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna put this back up because it's just getting too big. You can't. You couldn't shoot across it anymore because some of those popples were getting too high,
Right.
and the deer were in there laying down when you'd go to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, all right, well, that kind of defeats that. So I went and got on the south edge of it, so that way if they were coming up out of the cedar swamp or going from the clear cut to the cedar swamp, Joe would be able to catch them coming through there. And eventually did, obviously.
Travis found a pretty decent spot this year. I'd like to get him more involved in this spring scouting.
He's too damn busy.
Yeah.
The second snow starts flying in November, he gets all giddy about going and making money plowing.
Yeah, but he's one of them guys that doesn't do much scouting, no spring scouting.
Mm-hmm.
But
He's
found
basically
a pretty
just-
decent he found a decent spot this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was kicking himself in the behind a little bit there because he passed up that 8.0 opening morning.
Probably.
He didn't see another deer after that.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much like my season after I shot
Oh,
that
right.
6.
Yeah.
Like, I saw plenty of deer, just
Mm-hmm.
nothing, that I would want to shoot. And I actually only saw one antlered deer after that. It was a spike horn. Which, I don't know. But that's
Yeah.
why I'm just going to get out this spring and I'm going to put boots on the ground and
Yeah.
figure it out.
Hopefully we lose a little bit more snow and we can get out and
Well, we got like a 50-degree day coming. We got a couple
Well,
days with rain in the forecast, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping it clears up a lot of that because I can't stand being inside anymore. Cannot stand it.
well, last year during Easter weekend, I was out. I'm hoping to be out next weekend. But
Yeah,
supposed to have good weather tomorrow, good weather Saturday, so that'll help. Get a little
Yeah.
bit of wind, help us out
It's
there.
supposed to rain the next few days, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be like 50 out, 50, 55.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was supposed to stay cooler.
Unless something's changed, but
That was one way to find out.
we got a well,
We got the live Q&A tomorrow night.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
think this is gonna-
this will premiere afterwards, right?
I don't know.
listening to
Yeah,
this.
I'll probably drop it on a Monday.
Okay,
I'll probably drop it on Monday.
right on.
So anybody listening to this Monday, they're gonna
Yeah.
they'll have already seen the Q&A if they watch the Q&A, which that goes right up to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Which we're gonna be filming these. I want to film these podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
This is about the
Everybody can watch our beautiful faces and not just listen to our
Especially
voice.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You coming in eating a spoiled venison lunch meat sandwich. Oh, it smelled. Danielle said it smelled kind of weird. I'm like, whatever. Comes in, sandwich in hand.
Yeah, that'd have been a sweet video, huh?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we got the Q&A.
I thought you
tomorrow.
guys were filming it. I thought there was going to be a camera set up when I walked in the door. I'm like,
There should be.
I don't even care.
We missed our opportunity. No, we'll do more of these to where we have them set up and
Yeah, I'd like to film it a little bit. We got a table getting built. Give us a little bit more.
got a good backdrop. Got all your deer in the background and
Yeah.
it looks nice. Looks real nice.
Yeah. No, hopefully we can do a little bit more. Hopefully we could do one a week. That's what our goal is. So whoever's listening out there, we hopefully have a couple, and then hopefully go throughout the summer.
Yeah, we'll cover a lot of different topics.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that obviously we get hung up on deer hunting a lot, but that's because we're in the middle of releasing our deer camp series right now. But I mean, Jake's just as much of an avid hound hunter as he is a deer hunter. I'm just as much of an avid big water lake fishing as, almost as much as I am deer. Deer hunting's my number one. But
And that's going to be one of our goals, is we're going to try to reach that area a little bit more too. Is
a little bit of
hound hunting and bear season and cat, and I think there's a lot
I
of
should
people
be getting
that
my
want to hear
bear tag
that.
for the UP this year. I'll be going. I think I'm gonna shoot it. I shot my last one with the muzzleloader.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna try shooting with the bow again.
You got to get a bow first.
Yes, I do.
Probably that new.
I gotta
prime.
decide which one I want. I'm gonna go into Jay's one day. I'm gonna just go and shoot. That's what I always do when I go bow shopping. I just go in, spend 3 hours shooting bows, researching them, and then I'll go and do a bunch of YouTube searching and seeing what people like, unbiased opinions about them, because I'm not a brand loyal archery shoot. I'll tell you what, I do really, really like those new primes. Those are some sweet bows.
I was in between the
I was
prime
always
and the Matthews.
I've always been pretty Matthews oriented. Which
The
like I
last
said,
two
I've
bows
only-
I've had were Matthews. Those
I've
were
only
bows.
owned 4 bows ever in my life. 3 of them were Matthews. My first bow was a Parker.
Mine was a
35,
Browning.
35.
No, mine was a PSE Spider. And then I got a Browning Mirage. And then had that older PSE that I shot.
I think mine was a Parker Buckshot.
Yeah.
I had a Browning and then a PSE Evolution. That's the one that got stolen, was the PSE.
One of my favorite bows that I ever shot was a Diamond Iceman. I loved that bow.
That's what I got the bow is, a diamond.
Yeah.
It's an edge. It's a nice bow. Goes up to 70 and goes all the way down to 13 pounds.
Yep.
It's insane.
That Expedition I had, that was a really good bow. The only thing kicker was like, Jay's didn't sell them or anything like that. So it was like, all right, if I gotta have any work done on it, I have it sent in. So
Yeah, you guys need to get your bows all situated so we can go down and shoot and get all set up and everything.
yeah,
He's looking forward to that.
I'm not a very techie guy when it comes to archery.
Me neither.
I'm really not. I love just give me the bow, tell me it shoots
Well-
straight, tell me.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's good about it. You just hand him the bow and go, this
Yeah.
is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. And he sets
Well, I mean,
it up.
you see a lot of guys they get into it. They're like, what grain are you using? What are you doing? What's your front weight? Or
Like, I
what-
just shoot an arrow with a
I'm like,
broadhead on that.
dude, I don't know. I mean, should I know this stuff? I mean, the arrow setups that I use and everything, I mean, they work.
Yeah, I mean, I pay attention to my arrow a little bit, but not as
Right.
crazy as everybody else. You
But
know what I mean? But
When I'm paying attention to weight and stuff, it's not for the, like, kinetic energy and all that stuff. Like, I'm sorry, but they were killing deer with, wooden arrows and,
I think
stick
a lot
and
of
string.
that's,
I think there's nothing else to talk about.
no,
right.
I mean,
Running
you
out of
think about it.
ideas.
I mean, you look at like a lot of podcasts in the summertime. They start hitting on all that stuff, like archery technique. I mean, that's where the whole thing with the whole back tension releases. I'm like, I just had to try it. I'm like,
just
'cause
shoot my bow.
there's a lot of stuff that comes out in the hunt and any industry really that is just complete bullshit. Where someone claims to be a freaking expert in it and they start pushing it, and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't really need this.
But yet they're
And that was one where I was like, this whole back tension stuff. I mean, I'm like, I'm not shooting competitive archery. I'm trying to shoot a deer at 30 yards.
Yeah. So when I used to shoot a lot, I could shoot really good at 65 yards. I could put them in
Yeah.
probably, I'd say an 8-inch group at 65 yards.
Mm.
And at that time, like, I feel like that was pretty dang good,
Yeah.
And now, I wouldn't even say I could group that good at 65 yards anymore. Like, I don't even really shoot much anymore over 50 yards.
Yeah.
Like, just practicing. But you got these guys that are shooting at like 120 yards and 100 yards and 90 yards, and I'm like, you're hitting the target, dude?
Well, that's impressive.
Like, we've tried that, we've been dumb before and like wasted a few arrows at 100 yards, 110 yards. You know, you think I can hit that maple tree over there?
Yeah.
Hey, I wasted 3 arrows at the archery shootout at 100 yards trying for that truck.
And I think that's what a lot of that has come down to. You know,
Yeah.
it's more
How far
competition
can I?
shooting. You
Yeah.
know, like the tack and total archery challenge.
Well, it's like what Kevin was saying. You know, he has a whole separate bow just for it.
right.
That
When he was talking about that, like I get it, but
I don't know if it was him exactly
I
that
want
had
to
said it, but
practice
someone
with the
there
bow
said
that
it.
I'm gonna shoot a deer with.
Right.
You know, I don't want to practice all summer with a bow that I'm not going to pick up in October and go sit in my tree stand with. You know, I want to use the same exact setup
Yeah.
when I'm practicing.
Now, believe it or not, that Brian that I've been mentioning, he does both. He does the shootouts, and then he also hunts archery and stuff.
Right.
And he's a guy that uses 2 different bows.
Yeah, and
But
some people
he also
do. I don't-
uses, believe it or not, he comes down and he uses 3 bows. He uses 2 for shooting that are 2 different bows. But the main one that he uses is the exact same brand and same style as his archery.
It's just
bows.
set up different.
Just setup's just different.
So I think they covered that, the Hunter Collective. I know
Yeah.
they were saying like you just move your peep.
Yeah.
Was that one guy from the Bowhunter Chronicles? He
Yeah.
was saying he just moves his peep a little bit, or you know, I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I mean, if you're into that, I mean, I guess I can see it, but like, I mean, when it comes down to hunting, I mean, I don't know. I see people get pretty geeked up about it to where they're like ripping on each other on social media, like, well, you need to be using a 100 grain or 125 grain on deer, you know, blah, 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 or you're just doing this, you're unethical. I'm like, oh my God. What is going on here where we're fighting about the weight of a broadhead for killing deer? Like I said, you want to talk about shooting out 100 yards? Okay, now you really need to fine-tune things in. When you're talking about deer hunting, it doesn't take much to kill a deer if you hit it right. Most of the stuff is like for instance, earlier when I said that like I had a rangefinder and it wouldn't have mattered because I still shot under it with my 20-yard pin at 25 yards. That's not going to make that huge of a difference. You ever shot a target where you use it drops like 3 inches, if that.
So, didn't you use a digital sight this year?
I did, and it's junk.
I was. Charlie told me
It
this.
dies all the time, and you're like, what? I ended up carving my actual sight or my actual yardages on there because the stickers that they had, I was trying to find which one would work, and after like the 9th one that I put on there, I said, screw it.
Yeah.
So I just took a knife, very fine tip knife, and I just carved it in there.
Well, I found a website.
I'm like, dude, I don't need to shoot 100. I just need to shoot fucking 25 yards.
So I forget, you know, I'm not that brand oriented when it comes to my bow gear, you know, and I forget what even brand sight I bought this year. You were with me when I bought it. But it's a 5-pin sight, and it's the sight you sight in at 20 yards, you sight in at 30 yards, you sight in your first 2 pins.
I think
and
that's the
automatically-
React, the Trophy Ridge React.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
think
Is
you're
that what
right.
that is? Yeah.
It is.
But I love that sight. It's super simple, and it works. You know, I sighted in
that's
my
what I'm about
20-yard
to.
pin, sighted in my 30-yard pin, and I'm good out to 60 yards.
Nice.
And I do a 3-pin. 2 are stationary, and I got a travel one. My bottom one's a travel.
Floater.
See, I like that. I like that
It's
concept.
simple, but it's like I could shoot 80
I
yards.
can honestly never in a million years see myself sitting in a tree stand, picking up a rangefinder, ranging a deer, adjusting my sight to that yardage, and shooting it.
Yeah.
I just
yeah.
can't picture it.
Now, if I was in Ohio and I had that 150, 160 inch come across at 50 yards, and I know it's at 50 yards,
You
what
know,
I mean?
it ain't getting any closer.
I'm not, you know what I mean? Right now, my pins are set for 20, 30, 40.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But if that buck comes in at 50 and I've already ranged that tree at 50, I'm going to move my sight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that tree's 50, so I'm going to put it to 50, and I'm going to fling an arrow at that 150 inch deer.
Yeah.
But that's the only time I can see myself really moving that 3rd pin to do that adjustment if I'm going to take that. And I mean, we practice, Jake and I practice all summer at 50 yards. You know, what I mean, that's as max as we go is 50 yards. But
Yeah. I like the 5-pin because I know I'm never shooting at a deer over 60 yards.
No.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of that is I guess I've always shot multi-pin sights,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of people struggle with, anxiety of using the wrong pin. But I've literally never in my life used the wrong pin.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had that issue.
And I've used my 50-yard pin and killed deer with my 50-yard pin.
Yeah.
I think the 47 yards was the furthest I ever shot a deer at.
Well, believe it or not, I used to do a 1-pin sight for the longest time until that buck that's above you right now, Elvin.
Yeah.
We went to Jay's and my sight broke on me. Okay, the sight itself.
Yeah.
I hit a twig and it broke. It was right before deer season.
Oh, lovely.
So we went and bought a new sight, a 3-pin sight. Okay, I moved the other 2 straight down to the bottom and put my one sight in the middle and called it good. Well, we're sitting at camp. He's like, "You don't got those other ones set up yet?" I said, "No." It happened 2 days prior to deer camp. He's like, and we sat that morning, came back to camp, and he's like, and we're just messing around at camp. He's like, "Let's sight those other 2 or 3 pins." I don't remember what it was. And I said, "Okay," because he's over here shooting at 80 yards, 100 yards with his bow, and I'm over here with 1 pin at 20 yards.
Yeah.
So we sighted those ones in. I think it was 20, 30, and 40. That deer came in at 40 that night.
Wow.
I ended up shooting, and they went about 20 yards. But if we wouldn't have done that,
Wait, is that the one you shot on opening day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? If that would have never happened, I would have.
I think that deer's what made you quit using thunderheads, because it did not bleed.
Yeah, that was that was the last year I used the thunderheads. Was that buck right there? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Shot a doe the very next day.
Yep.
It was still one of the biggest does I've ever shot to this day.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was a big doe.
Showed up at camp
Yeah.
that night, I think it was.
Yep.
It was a fun year.
What do you think, boys?
Good time to wrap it up. But like I said, if anybody's listening, we're going to try to do this every week, Jake and I, and then we're going to try to get Elvin on there as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, especially this time of year, it won't be an issue for us all 3 to get together.
Right.
In the summertime, doing a little bit more fishing, a little bit more fishing content coming out.
And then our Q&As we're going to try to do some Q&As.
Yeah, we're
them.
doing the Q&As right now for the deer camp episode, but definitely at least once a month we'll be coming out with one of those, so you can catch those on YouTube. These are going to be posted to YouTube as well. There's not going to be any video with obviously this one, but
We're going to try to, though. It'd be nice
yeah,
to.
we'll be recording it
Yeah.
and putting it in there. I mean, not that adding our faces on there.
So
And then,
my former English teacher from high school is a competition turkey caller. I thought about getting a hold of him here soon.
Yeah, I took him. His buddy got an elk tag, and me, Tommy, and him were helping his buddy get an elk.
Okay.
Yeah,
Brent?
yeah, met him. Yep.
So yeah, I was actually talking to him yesterday, and he watched our deer camp video, and of course he gave me his condolences on my frozen trigger.
Dude, that's like half the comments on there right now. I feel bad for Jake. Oh,
Yeah.
man, that sucks. Like, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I could just
That's
wonder what the
terrible.
questions are going to be tomorrow.
I remember when I heard it, and then I heard about it. I don't know if it was from you, but I knew about it. But then you called me while I was in the tree that night, and you told me this story, and I'm just like, oh my god, dude, that I don't know what I do. One guy actually on there, he's like, I don't know. If I had a gun, I don't care if it was my gun or someone else's, I would have thrown that thing out of the tree.
Well, that's what I texted him. I said, "Hey, where's the gun at? Is the gun you still got the gun?" He's like, "Yeah, it's here." And then he sends me the picture of the frozen trigger. I'm like,
And
"Holy
honestly,
shit."
it wasn't even a misfunction on the gun.
No.
Well,
It was I think just
freak of nature.
freaking condensation. My gun was in the cabin. Put it in a case, put it in the truck. It was cold outside.
Yeah.
Condensation built up inside the action.
Yeah.
It was still warm when I got out of the truck, got to the tree stand, hung it up, barrel facing up. Condensation ran out of the action right down in behind the trigger
Oh, God.
and froze. I mean, it's just a freak accident.
Well, that buck made it to another year, that's for sure.
He'll be bigger next year. He's gonna win the buck pull next year.
Thanks for the good thoughts, guys.
Hopefully old age don't get to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought about getting Brent on. I think he'd
Yeah,
be a
that'd be
cool
pretty
one
cool.
to talk to right before turkey season. I know he knows
Yeah.
a heck of a lot more about turkey hunting than I do. And definitely knows a lot more about calling turkeys than I do.
Yeah.
I'm a much better caller. So I thought if we could get a hold of him,
Yeah.
I think he would probably be on board for doing a podcast with us.
Well, I think we got a lot of people in mind too. A lot of people
Yeah.
that you don't hear on podcasts. I mean, you always hear the same names over and over and over and over. And
I like that
Which is-
smaller name.
yeah, I want to know about some dude that I hear about up in the UP that just happens to kill giants all the time.
Yeah.
And you hear,
Yeah.
you kind of hear his name once in a while, and you're like, all right, I got to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
Those are the people that I want to talk to.
So, Brent, when I was still in high school, he builds turkey calls,
Yep.
and he'd never built an elk call, mouth call. So he built a couple, went home and made up a couple elk calls and brought them into school, and we were testing them out in school. It was pretty cool. So it'd be cool to have him on and
Yeah.
maybe have him bring a couple turkey calls and
Yeah, for sure.
even do a little bit of calling over the podcast. Give us
Yeah.
give
Figure
us
out
some
how to do
examples.
that.
Yeah.
Can plug in another microphone just for some external.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. Well, then we'll also, by then we'll have video camera and figure out video by then too. So
Yeah, it'd be cool to get it on video.
Yeah.
yeah, we got a couple names in mind, and
Yeah, there's like some
sure.
straight up killers that I know that is just like they're not on YouTube. They barely. I don't even think they post their kills on Facebook or Instagram. I probably don't even know what Instagram is. I mean, just some straight up freaking
Yeah.
killers, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if like maybe it's just the area that we live in or whatever. I mean, deer hunting's probably the most popular sport. Probably a close. If it is a second, it's probably second to hound hunting. But I still think deer hunting's number one. But you think about like all the guys around here like that we've learned from. Dude, there's some killers out there.
I'll tell you what, there's some hound hunters out there that are just great woodsmen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they might not be famous deer hunters, but
Yeah.
a really good houndsman, I
Yeah.
can guarantee you can kill deer.
I swear to God, there's people like just like you're talking about. They're good
And
woodsmen.
trappers, too.
They can
Trappers
trap.
are great woodsmen.
They're good houndsmen. They can go out and kill a decent buck every year. You hand them a trout rod, they can go catch you a whole creel limit of trout. I mean, they just know. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I know a lot, and then I'm around some people, whether it be fishing or any other type of hunting, and I'm just like, man, I'm falling behind or something like that. Like, because deer hunting's my number one thing. But I start talking to bird hunters, and I'm like, they're talking about training dogs and everything, and I'm like, man, I did my dog wrong. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, or turkey hunting. Like I've called in a lot of birds, and I don't ever proclaim to be the best turkey caller, but I've called in a lot of birds to a lot of hunters. But even there's some dudes out there that can make noises with turkey calls that I'm just like, oh my God, what is going on here?
Yeah.
and that's an
I
area
feel like when
wanna
I'm
try
turkey
to
calling,
tackle.
like, it does not even sound like a turkey.
Like someone you're expecting someone like a couple hundred yards away laughing at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden the turkeys start coming in. It's like, can't be that bad.
Can't be that bad. So you're saying there's a chance.
And I dropped a lot of money into turkey calls and elk calls this year.
Yeah.
I've been trying.
I do love calling some elk.
Elk calling's
God, nothing.
especially when you hear them ripping through a bunch of freaking popple saplings and they're just fired up.
Yeah, you can hear them, like
Yeah.
you can hear them breathing, but you can't see them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then they just pop out at 15 yards, and
They got big old bug eyes and they're looking like
or they
where?
have no idea you're there
Yeah.
yet. You know what I mean? And like the slobber's like coming out of their
Yeah.
mouth, and
the lip curler.
you can see the white in their eyes.
Oh, sorry if I blew your eardrums out. Yeah.
Good times.
I'll take some of that right about now.
Good times.
Well, what do you think, Charlie?
Yeah.
You gonna wrap us up?
Wrap us up. Yeah, like I said, stay tuned. We got their Q&As coming up for deer camp, and we're going to try to do these podcasts every week with Jake, and hopefully Elvin will be around this time of the year. Just stay tuned. Thanks for listening. We got more to come.
Stay wild.
Stay wild.
Stay wild.